This is the unedited version of the New Book of Wisdom. For some this version is most completed. More is and will be written before would be entirely written. My wishes is to complete it in a time of well-being and not the inhumane stress I have being suffering to produce the following. Be aware. This book is not written to foment hate, but on the contrary to free us from it. Could be misinterpreted if not read in its entirety. The New Book of Wisdom. With the following we want to show the simple facts that will make life and judgmental attitude equal for all being kind. In this time of great changes we can begin to observe how the belief system influences the mind of all beings and realize the needed steps to be taken in order to assure the continuation of all species in harmony with the cosmos. To begin this process, we must assume an investigating attitude and move aside any type, tribal, sectarian, racial, political, religious indoctrination and any other type of assumptions based on plain belief. We must instead use our logic to find the simple truth based on experiences, based on facts. Only then we can begin to understand and be able to simply change the systems and replace them with what is best for all. In this time of great changes we can begin to observe how the belief system influences the mind of all beings and realize the needed steps to be taken to break the chain of insanity and deception and assure the continuation of all species in harmony with the cosmos and nature. To begin to understand the effects of spiritual stories, religions and fairy tales that influence the mind of our societies, we must understand their origins and realize their true aim and meanings. Thanks to archaeological finding here on Earth, we can now prove that already before the coming of the monotheistic cults, the all planet was practicing so-called polytheist worshipping. We all understand the main difference between the two is caused by the fact that while polytheism is spreading the consciousness of people by sharing veneration and rituals to different entities or elements, monotheism concentrates the powers in two single elements, God and evil. To begin our understanding of the material effects of those so-called cults, mythologies and religions, we must start by examining the meaning of the word religion, word that in the modern vocabulary tells it all. The word religion is composed by two main parts, the first, which means king, or doing something again, and the second, legion, or in correct English legion. By putting together the two, according to this interpretation, the real meaning of the word becomes the King Legion, or the Again Legion. So-called main monotheistic religions in fact are the basis for the creation of the modern single king system, and its origins here on Earth are Judaic and beginning around 3,800 years ago according to the Jewish historical references in our modern calendar. Monotheism and the Trinity of Deception. Monotheism is the father of the concept of evil as a supernatural power of obscure forces that are to fear and according to its deviated system even kill in extreme ways. It incorporates the absurd right to torture, blood-sucking rituals, cannibalism and killing as part of something that supposedly God wants or is in order to allegedly win over evil. Monotheism creates therefore the concept of evil and imposes his way over logic and understanding by means of evil belief, which are considered by believers more holy and true than any scientific proof or evidence. The root of this illogic way is much deeper than anybody can think. For example, we are all using words like devil, hell, Satan, and automatically associating them to means of evil, a kind of evil that we have been putting in our brain as a supernatural force that is greater than mankind. Monotheistic religions create an abstract border between those two forces and keeps beings behind one or the other based on religion preference. It is evident that in an evolved society there cannot be or should be any borders, and if all people should live in peace and harmony, there cannot be any type of religious discrimination. We should open our eyes and admit the facts. All religions must be reformed to achieve peace. By logic, there cannot be any equality or balance when tribal division rules the world. Hate is clearly a phenomenon that we seem to deem as natural consequence of the so-called evil or the result of wrong action committed by someone or something, while if we stop and think about its existence we come to face the fact that hate is nothing but a reaction caused by ignorance. It is evident that nature brings us to want to understand, prevent and correct any type of evil, and that hate is the fruit of ignorance, for the fact that we all can understand reasons of mistakes strictly as an ignorance reaction. Many phrases can make us understand the truth behind the fact. Here I will mention a few commune ones that we all must understand. The first fact is that what goes around comes around. The second is that hate can never be a peaceful solution to a problem, and third one, a phrase that we all been hearing before, an eye for an eye makes everybody blind. Those simple phrases contain the essence of the basis to communal understanding that makes us all humans above all type of indoctrination, and we must all agree to something, that it is logic and understandable through physical evidences if we want to evolve into a true humane or cosmic society instead of being stuck in tribal and sectarian bloody cults or absurd religions that are tearing society, man and our planet apart. Polytheism and the theosophical propaganda. Polytheistic mythologies are also later labeled as pagan cults and often so confused by the wrong interpretation given deliberately by the philo-Judeo clans that have also imposed a strict vision of history aimed to control society. A clear example nowadays is provided by the Theosophical and many other Freemason societies which have for years claimed to be intended to exist for the preservation and protection of all religions and the goodness of the society, while instead now more than ever before are deliberately working to re-elaborate and modify different stories and history and aiming to deflect people from the real understanding of what remains in our world in the form of temples and holy cities that precede all Abrahamistic sects. An easy example is shown in the Theosophical Society interpretation of the Hinduism, where they turn the figure's powers around. If you have been to India, for example, you would know that the representation of destruction is refigured in Kali. If you read the Theosophical Society books instead, you will learn that the god of destruction is Shiva. To understand the difference, you must then realize that while the Theosophical Society wants you to think that Shiva, a man, is the destroyer, Hinduism teach that Kali, the goddess of destruction, is a female. Therefore the Theosophical Society is inverting the polarity of things. Another example of how Theosophical Society has been working for deception and along the side with the Judeo, later known also as Zionist Society, for the re-elaboration and divulgation of their personally made up human history in the attempt to bring blood rituals, hate and evil in the consciousness of everybody as simple and accepted religious practices and belief, is shown also in the way how we are told to believe that Mayan and Aztec and all ancient civilizations practiced human sacrifices in form of blood and murdering rituals. But when you go traveling through those countries, you can also find out that all those horrifying stories are nearly all complete lies, and if any evidences have been provided to maintain the theory of the use of brutal rituals, in most cases those evidences have been provided by prominent Zionists. Those are some of the most popular symbols of the so-called Theosophical Society. The mass media's propaganda in the three worlds. In 2011, the world is coming again to a standstill, after the many events that have covered with blood the pavements of the capitals of many of the essential cradles of our civilization. We are facing the absolute step to realization or destruction. True is that society in the first world, just like in many of the second and third world, is blinded by the evil, nourishing propaganda machine that has reached an extent never imagined before. The amount of cruel and horrific killings and death that is brought to the eyes of the people goes beyond the possibility that such a sick and deviating visions could find any logic other than that those so who broadcast it are doing it purely for profiting of the violence they create. Also, wars have become clearly orchestrated by the mass medias, which in the first world are totally controlled by the Zionist Society, that by owning the main news outlets is able to impose their falsities and drive them in people's minds as if they would be based on truth. clear and terrible fact is that while the good people in society hide away frightened just like in a war where clearly the only ones that survive are those which hide and the true killers. The vibes in society today reflect such a dimension because the system is so deeply corrupted by the so-called money rule that instead of serving for the good of the people, it is kept and controlled by a vampiric society that uses it to hurt others instead of helping like they could and should. This is something that must be changed. We can all see how the mass media in these so-called first world countries has taken steps toward a form of suicidal and homicidal propaganda that has taken over all the public and private television stations which broadcast more violence and obscene stories than ever before. Beside the immense amount of violence and twisted behavior shown to the spectators as something that should be an everyday reality accordingly to it, also the children programs have drastically taken a change towards stupidity and more violence than ever before, putting our society in a state of general idiocy and fear to react or even trying to stand up to reality. Like so, society has in fact taken a general turn towards a cancer-like system that instead of sharing the goodness chooses the use of government-sponsored distribution of chemical drugs and alcohol and the dream of a material life made out of a fake reality shown to them through the screen of a television or the one of a movie theater. Society in the first world today is by fact so corrupted by the industrial media machine and the religious and historical deception which is produced with the absolute aim to destroy the natural mind of people and push it toward absolute negation of its essential elements. Many people in the first world today in fact blindly believe the propaganda machine and are not caring for the truth and actually don't even want to hear the basic facts that make them complicit to the many horrors they are sponsoring with their money. Instead they prefer to label truth seekers as lunatics. This is also something that automatically brings reality to a form of degeneration, and that is something that must be realized and changed. The inequality between these so-labeled three words, our planet as being divided, is so great and undeniable fact. A typical example is shown in the fact that while people of the second and third world countries are struggling to survive the everyday life, most of those who live in the so-called first world use in one day the same amount of resources that someone from second and third world have to survive on for months. The fact that this brings totally unfair and inhumane energies to the world we are living in is also an undeniable truth. One other important fact that is killing our planet and destroying the lives of millions of people is the way how the industry has taken over the food supply of people, turning crops into burning fuel for the cars of the rich, only ones who can afford the luxury of allegedly eco-friendly cars which in reality burn the food of the poor in their gas tank. Like so, while the poor can only afford to nourish themselves with cancerogenic products, those who have much money can afford ecological foods and products. The cure for cancer. One of the oldest natural remedies to stress and several types of sickness, included various types of cancers, is hemp, a product wrongly criminalized in many of the countries of our planet. Hemp by fact is a very efficient natural cure that is criminalized for the economical gains of the chemical and alcohol industry and to feed the cancer industries of a society of vampires with no care for the well-being of anybody, and in most cases not even for themselves. Usually those inhumane people are unfit elements that are so jealous and cruel toward the weak and poor that can't even realize they are the true evil and sickness of our society, and instead of caring for the good and trying to find a cure for their own diseases, they are often staying in office till extremely old ages, preventing the healthy people from working in their place and doing the right things. Another fact is that in many countries the governments prevent the young people from finding jobs by obliging the workers to stay in office till old age before they are allowed to retire with their pension. According to the laws and standards of most first world countries, in fact, to be alcoholics and or addicted to pills is something that everybody can freely do while using cannabis or hemp, seen as an abuse and immoral or unethical thing to do. This simple fact show how the evil industry is fully supported by the various governments, while the good and natural criminalized and oppressed. Another important factor that is being used by corrupted governments in for suppressing the people and make anybody which refuses their alcohol and synthetic drugs and chooses more natural remedies into a labeled criminal. This process is done through the criminalization of natural herbs and remedies like cannabis and the advice to people to take various types of synthetic drugs even when it is already shown that those so-called synthetic medicines are in many cases more harmful and addictive than the natural remedies that we are forbidden to buy or grow. Such a factor is also an undeniable source of sickness that turn honest citizens into labeled criminals because of a preference toward nature instead of synthetically manipulated drugs, and by so doing oppresses and depresses society, feeding the spiral of addiction and crime instead of actually using the natural science to achieve the healing it should give to its members. It is evident that beings are affected by the energies which are projected onto them. Therefore it is imperative to face the fact that by criminalizing people in such a way, turns also others into reflector of bad energies which affect negatively the life of everyone, and therefore we got to change such unjustifiable laws and allow the possibility of growing and consuming natural remedies to feed the good nature that with its immense richness provides the cures. The realization of the New Age. The realization of the New Age is what we are coming to. It is clear that this process is requiring the collaboration and help of everybody, and that we can no longer keep on abusing and misusing the resources that keep us in life, and that in order to consolidate and materialize an ultimate society, we must find the way to correct the mistakes and misinterpretations and deliver goodness to the all that surrounds us. A fact that we all understand is that just like cancer cells are growing selfishly and abusing and destroying nature, like so nature shows us that those cancer cells ultimately kill their own host and die. This is one clear example that nature shows us, and that we must learn an important lesson in order to achieve the step to the development of any society that otherwise will ultimately, like the cancer, kill its own host. Like so we understand that we must find a way to connect the links of evolution and move harmoniously with the cosmos and grow by using and not abusing the surrounding. All living organisms must nourish all their cells in time with nature in order to live and survive. Like so we must all find the way to nourish our society for the good of everything that reflects its goodness in harmony with the cosmos. In nature we find that a living organism is formed by 3 to 10 billion cells that connect and then find the way to live in symbiosis with each other. Like so also mankind has now reached the sufficient amount of cells and is now a matter of connecting with each other in order to evolve into a living organism, one that can live harmoniously and develop with its surrounding. Many are nowadays believing in population reduction programs, and by doing so are actually feeding the war and death machine that in order to keep power over people tries to eliminate beings, not for the needs of the society like they try to make us believe, but simply for reducing the opposition and maintaining or gaining their own economic powers and positions. In our modern times in 2011, everybody who is part of modern society gets an education based on governmental propaganda specially designed and aimed for the full control of the societies. The history we are told in schools is based and assimilated by the people on the assumption of its alleged truth. By researching the history told in the schools nowadays, we can clearly notice how each country changes its perspective and telling of it to glorify and justify its own actions, and the malicious effects of such a propaganda in the mind of those subjected to it. By this I meant to say that from this point in history, it is natural to doubt even what we read in historical official text regarding any event in our history leading us to this age. With the following I want to emphasize the fact that it is natural to doubt and to research the truth, and to reach it we must be able to persevere in the path of good, from the root or Swedish God. So do not let religious or nationalistic feelings rule our judgment, but follow the logic and research the stories from all perspectives. As I already clarified, to find the objective of global unity, we must realize the need to evolve from the concept of absolute sureness of everything we have being taught and instead search and work out the real facts by keeping an open mind. Therefore, in this point in history, we must not take for granted what official stories are wanting us to believe before we are able to verify them. A matter of fact is that everywhere society as we know it is, yes, constantly afflicted by the problems created by the many types of corruption that evolve from its imperfections, but also more or less already set in a course aimed by the people at evolving for the good of itself and its members, and therefore we must use the knowledge to learn from the mistakes and evolve accordingly. We thinking beings need to find the way to rewrite the history for what has truly been, and go forward without destroying what society has already accomplished, but find the way to make it better and in harmony with the nature. So, in this age we are awakening the consciousness of all beings to bring us all to the realization of the universal and cosmic resonance that just like the sound of the golden bell echoes and vibrates through our cosmos from the beginning of time, and with its mighty influence brings life to everything that exists. Time has come to reflect on the origin of life and its commune goal and principles of survival. All life in the cosmos is originated by the fusion of elements that interact and live with each other. This is a basic fact that every body that follows logic will re-echo if thinking about it. Just like the fire needs oxygen to burn, and oxygen needs hydrogen to form water, we know that this is a commune factor that unites all, and just like so we people need also to copulate in order to reproduce. Starting from this principle and examining the universe that surrounds us, we can also find another important key factor for all races and species, which make all living beings same, and this is the fact that all reproduces through the ejaculation or the delivering of the genetic patrimony transferred to an egg that hosts it and nourishes it till it releases it to the outside world. This simple principle is same for all living beings in our cosmos, and this simple fact and the respect to such element is the key that will bring all together. The great saga brought to us by Ior Bock is the key to peace and harmony in the entire universe and beyond. Ior was not only a great storyteller but also the great ambassador of universal understanding and logic, and through his story was able to explain to us the basic principles that help us to unveil the mysteries of the cosmos that surrounds us. In base of the understanding we are now given by or via Ior Bock, we can naturally realize that the veneration of the basic life elements is not only an earth thing, but a commune understanding of any natural thinking form of life. This simple understanding he shared with his friends is the missing link to the umbilical cord that brings life to all beings in our cosmos, and to him and his saga we must all be thankful for having chosen to stay forever in our history. Clearly, in our modern world in 2011, we are still bounded by taboos and deception stories that make us afraid to begin to venerate such elements, especially in any earthly society that follow any type of monotheistic religion, and clearly to understand that we must wake up to reality and make the change. It is the message that Ior Bock was bringing to us all. Thanks to his story we learn the truth about the basic elements that give us life and the logic that explains and solves many of the mysteries and secrets of our history and cosmos. By fact, according to those so-called earthly monotheistic religions, the sex is a bad and scary thing, and the religious terror-based propaganda is so strongly sculpted in people's minds that a great percentage of them accept falsities like, for example, overpopulation and need for a population reduction program, or even the mutilation of infants and blood-sucking rituals, and justify them because they are labeled as needed things and as part of religious practice. Like so, man is nowadays in 2011 programmed to believe in abstract things in such a drastic way that also a great percentage of those so-called good people are still refusing scientific and historical facts because denied by their own religions. Another clear example of the amount of hate and deception that is fed to our society by the world medias here on Earth is the so-called Palestinian-Israeli conflict, a one-side conflict that sees the constant bombardment of Palestine and the segregation of its people in concentration camps Warsaw Ghetto style, and the complicity of many of our world leaders to such a brutal and inhumane behavior. Another example of this is shown in the recent massacre of the Freedom Flotilla and the position maintained by world media in the cover-up of such a brutal act of piracy. In 2011, planet Earth come to face great events that will sign its destiny along with the one and all universe that surrounds it and beyond. After the nuclear disaster of Fukushima of the 11/3/2011, all human and the animal and flora species of Earth are under a great threat of extinction. On March 11, 2011, after the tsunami hit Japan, the world was shown pictures of the destruction and told of several nuclear power plants had been safely shut down. After 2 days, while all the world news agencies was showing the devastating explosions of the Fukushima nuclear reactors blowing to the air what was in reality tons of radioactive particles, the world was told that it was all under control, and what we were seeing was only steam from some hydrogen explosions in the upper floors of the reactors. It became nearly immediately evident for some of us that someone had decided to deliberately dump tons of heavily radioactive particles in the air and ocean, and that world governments were covering up the truth and deliberately allowed the situation to get worse by letting the same company responsible for the disaster manage the melting down plans, while it actually was already known that they were not only hiding the truth regarding the situation but also deliberately dumping tons of highly radioactive waters in the ocean, and had no way to properly respond to the situation of nuclear meltdowns, so even less than the Fukushima, where the meltdowns were in 4 to 6 separate reactors. After nearly 4 months of nuclear meltdown, the all world is coming closer to face its own ignorance and the deceptions, and to face their absurd beliefs, to realize the all truth. Planet Earth needs help, and this must come fast before it would be too late. At the same time as we humans come all to face each other, in the all-universe civilization come to face its own creations and the fears they have created that must be shattered by sharing and working them out together before they would bring about the total destruction of life. To ensure the continuation of itself, a living organism must enjoy life, and this is even larger than universal. As described previously when talking about the creation of life organisms, all of them are clearly bounded by the common factor that in order to maintain them alive and capable to survive, we, like all sane living things, chose to adapt ourselves to our surrounding and work according to our abilities or possibilities for making life more comfortable in order to being able to enjoy life. It is only when we jump the so-called animal line into the humanoid one that in many cases we come away from the harmonic concept of nature and we begin to create our own societies, sometimes going against nature, and where we impose unnecessary restriction, allegedly in order to maintain the status quo of things. Wars are also another insane practice conducted generally with the aim to population reduction and economic speculations. Such practice that tearing society apart is usually organized by people for the purpose of gaining money and power positions. With its obscene horror bringing its indiscriminate death and devastation that with the help of its propaganda machine glorifies its insane use and perpetuates the chain of hate that imprisons the consciousness of those who believe and justify war, and in most cases making them believe in its vows rightness for peace. We must find a way to end all wars and relearn the lessons that history teach us if we want to evolve in being accepted as peaceful and intelligent beings capable to integrate with the beauty of our cosmos and balance with nature. Now we have come to a point where it is necessary that instead of letting our own greed and egotism destroy everything that surrounds us, we must all open our minds to let the dream of paradise be realized. Life is joy or else is sickness that has to be cured. All natural living creatures have right to existence, and in a good mind, is the duty of the strong to help and protect the weak. Clearly an evolved society must be based on commune understanding that share is goodness with the rest in harmony with the nature, and clearly now, for the first time in our modern history of planet Earth, we all must unite and work together to find a solution before it will be too late for all. We must now begin to help each other and therefore assure the happiness of all beings in peace and harmony with the nature. This is something that must be done and supported by the governments and by its people in order to achieve a developing society that is forever growing and spreading only its goodness. The cosmos and the life rule. The beauty and the many mysteries of our universe are now being shown and told for all. As we all come to understand the essence of harmony and well-being, we come to understand the necessity to evolve and therefore expand our consciousness and perspectives to the potentialities of our universe and beyond. It is time to take a leap into a cosmic dimension of understanding. To explore the powers and potentiality of our mind, body, and soul, we must find the way to enjoy our being and the well-being of our surrounding in an harmonious way. The idea of cherishing life is the concept that will unite all cosmic beings, and to understand it, we must drink the water of life to fully comprehend the beauty of creation. This simple understanding is the key. As we approach the ultimate understanding of the divine, we are all taken by surprise as we explore its entirety from the start. The realization of the ultimate solution to achieve it is already stored in the genetic code of each being, and it is now a matter of using it to find the guidance to harmony. The essential need to unite all is a part of evolution that can and must be pushed forward in the consciousness of everyone to accelerate its action and bring us forward to the ultimate place for our mind, body, and soul. A place where every living being is free from pain and sickness, and where everyone is living and feeding only the good of life. Imagine a cosmic beinghood where every living being gets helped by the system. Imagine all universes free from hate and deception. Imagine being able to travel through the cosmos without any fear of disruption. Imagine. It is in nature to cling to something just like the suns, the stars, and the moons cling to the heaven, and the grains, plants, and trees cling to soil. Beings, animals, and insects need to cling to life. Clinging to what is right transforms the cosmos and perfect it. This is an old wisdom that must be remembered in order to find the strength to persevere in the path to global enlightenment. To bring and find unity and peace in everybody's mind, we must bring forward our goodness and the wisdom. The projection of ourselves is always a key to understanding of our surrounding life, so we can realize that all that we feed comes to existence. Here an example that we can all understand. Imagine this. If in front of you there is several bonfires which are burning different materials, some of those materials are poisons, and now for the first time you are realizing that everybody is aware of the fact that burning poison in the open air is harmful, so what would you do? Keep feeding the poison fire or feed only the ones which are not harmful? The answer should be quite clear, just clear. It's the consequence of the actions. When we will stop feeding the bad fires, the harmful fumes and materials will stop fumigating us with their poisons and die out. It is only the fires that we feed that burn. On this principle we must begin our understanding of basic logic that will bring about the needed changes for the evolution to the next dimension, where the purity of spirit is also the one of the body and all evil is dead, just like the fires we have stopped feeding. The birth of the crystal era. All beings need to unite and stand for changes that can bring civilization and nature to a constantly developing state of being and restore the harmony and beauty that are cosmic. That in order to achieve such a status we must start to reform the system so that it can become transparent, like a crystal. Because we decide to keep the good technologies and to use them for the good of the environment and of all living beings, which are in constant danger because of the amount of harmful poisons that civilization have ignorantly been spreading around, and the need to remove it all and to help those who have being suffering in consequence to it. We must find a way to use the technologies for re-ensuring society by sharing the knowledge, and use the technologies that can bring us and our surroundings to an harmonious state of being. It is so important to ensure that those politicians who represent the people in the political arenas would be serving as example for the rest of the society, and that their public service time or mandate would allow students to learn by following the life and activities of those public figures. Because of the corruption that is taking over in most public offices, it is now needed to create some basic laws that can stop the corruption and improve and guarantee the good system in life to continue to blossom and grow in harmony. One basic law that should be implemented in those places where such a phenomenon is manifested will be the implementation of the duty for the politicians to carry a badge that would record their activities during their mandate. This would assure the society with true transparency and bring more confidence to the people, and at the same time the politicians would be true teachers free from temptations and political sins. The creation of a crystal society, one that is truly transparent and radiant, is the way to guarantee peace and harmony to everything. This is another important point in this process of enlightenment that is essential to the practical side of its functions. In the concept of terrestrial paradise is included the vision of an harmonic and peaceful cosmos that serves its peace with his magnificence and greatness. At this time in history, to be achieving such a greatness is possible only if we can all work for it and start to support each other instead of following only the aspiration of personal conquest and glory, and instead share them with and for the goodness and prosperity of all. The blessing of creation must be a concept understood for its entirety and shared in a commune vision of well-being, key for the reforms needed for the creation of the crystal system, a system that because of its transparency can educate and inspire all beings. It is basic to understanding that every living being must be made able to enjoy and develop that what he is naturally gifted and orientated for, and that such an help to society will bring about more happiness and well-being to itself and all goodness that surrounds it. After such a system begins to work, it is guaranteed that both the environment and the society would experience an improvement that would spiral up all into the blossoming of paradise, or terrestrial paradise, where its people will find again confidence in the system and the path to true knowledge and to cosmic harmony. If we reflect on the idea of such development, we can also estimate that when it will begin, it would not take long before we can transform this planet and assuring its continuation as terrestrial paradise, where the people will find the path to unity by following their natural orientations and guidance provided by a system that is made for the good of its members in harmony with the all. We will also learn the magic of the stars, and once again will be connected through them. Soon we will be able to reach a state of being that is cosmic and able to explore life and all its sides in beauty and travel through time and the entire cosmos as messengers and keepers of peace and harmony. To being able to reach such a great state of being, we must evolve into a living organism, constituted by the billions of cells which we already are, but simply connected as a good living organism, living in respect and harmony with the nature that hosts us. The key element to the well-being of all, and we must preserve her in the path for enlightenment and transform the world that we will remold into a flower-like place that with its beauty and perfection will bring harmony to the all. The missing link. Introduction to the Life Bull or Devil in the Bock saga. The missing link for mankind is manifested in the same water of life that bring us to the wisdom and magic of nature and harmony with the cosmos. For centuries we have been searching for the idea truth, and society have been forbidden to learn it by means of torture and murder carried out by the army of the various religious leaders under the form of terrible inquisitions and crusades. For centuries the information system has been working to prevent people from investigating the truth by imposing laws that forbid the worshipping of sex and allow instead the mutilation of children and the arrest, castration, and many other forms of insane punishment for those who practice homosexual posture or acts. Still nowadays in 2011 we can see the effects of this in the unnatural and illogic behavior of many inhabitants from both first, second, and third world countries. The taboos and phobias that emerges in the behavior of many is the direct effect derived from the indoctrination to such unnatural and inhumane religions such as those monotheistic ones that, among other forms of sexual repressions, after many centuries still forbids and punish homosexuality. The missing link in fact is the snake biting his own tail, or devil or life rule. This is in fact a ritual practiced every day by everybody in paradise at or paradise time, and it consists by drinking one's own water of life, sperm or salve. The idea of doing so is intended to be done to respect and worship life, enjoy our sexuality and find the tune of harmony with nature. The water of life is what creates every material being. It holds the power of creation and the genetic imprint of our ancestors and much more. By doing the will or the life will, we can become more concentrated in what we have to do in a more harmonious way, and at the same time we celebrate and enjoy life. The realization of this in a material sense is shown by the consequence of such action. By doing it we become our true self, and this simple act is key to open the Pandora box of knowledge and face the fact that in a natural environment and state of mind, whatever we do is what we ourselves are doing. This realization is the first step to harmony and understanding. The respect and worship of life is clearly at the base of any truly evolved society, and it's the key to the door that will deliver us to the highest levels of understanding and well-being. For the delivering of such a key, we must be thankful for the saga left by Ior Bock, and for those which have been seeing the logic of his saga and shared it around, and we must go on sharing it to bring paradise back on our planet and the peace and harmony to the all that is creation. The third eye in fact gives the ultimate understanding of the magic of life rule. Many of us have been hearing about the third eye and the many theories that locate it in the forehead or somewhere in the sky instead of there where it really is. The thing that all theories recognize anyway is the fact that it represents the ultimate knowledge, and that its symbol is in fact the representation of the all-seeing eye, or the one link to all that is creation. The third eye is in fact the physical symbol of life and procreation, and it's the link that ties the spiritual to the consciousness and body of all being. Through it we can communicate even without talking or telepathically. Its location is in the sex of both man and woman, and it is in fact the missing link to the ultimate understanding of the divine. As we know, many stories have been created to separate man from such understanding through indoctrination to absurd fairy tales or religions that horror and are particularly directed to the mind of the people of wit. The aim to scare and push away from the truth by means of terrorizing and even reaching so extreme ways by mutilating the sex of human beings. The life or will of life is good, God, for all in order to come to the realization of paradise intended as the one we are living in, so the will of life is the beginning of the opening of the third eye. A planet where every human being is in harmony with the nature and the cosmic energies is a reality at the grasp of every living being, and we must make sure that such a reality is understood, not just believed. By unveiling the true history and therefore learning from the mistakes of the past to naturally evolve into a society that is connected once again through nature and the stars. The Lotus. Paradis and the Bock Saga. Ior Bock. Because of the computer misspelling, I advise you to listen to the audio and videos from Bock Saga channel on YT. Intro. Essential extracts of the Bock Saga. The story that follows is the saga left by Ior Bock, which will make mankind understand and unveil the secrets of our history and to find the lost key to terrestrial paradise. According to what Ior told us, he was conceived in Odenmagumbo-strand, Sippo, Finland, the 171942 through the incest between Knut Victor and his daughter Ray Bockstrom in order to ensure the continuation of his family line. According to the papers, Ior's father Knut Victor was 80 when he made Ior with his 42-years-old daughter pregnant. Ior tells us that his birth was forced by the tragic event of his brother Raphael's death that left no alternatives to his father and mother sister to ensure the continuation of their family line. He also told us that his parents created a false adoption story in order to protect him and allow him to live and tell us the saga that was kept in his family. So Ior is last descendant of the Bock family, also known as the one of Sana, in what he defined as sperm line, from father to son. In 1984, after his mother's death, in 24/7, he started to tell the Bock saga to the world. His family born in Odenma was living there till 1048, just before the arrival of the terrible and bloody inquisitions of Pope Leo IX, which caused the death of hundreds of thousands of pagans. Also Leo IX commanded his army to burn every tree in Odenma and turn it into a dead land. Another thing that Leo IX did was to decide then that for the next 200 years no one was allowed to live in Odenma, so in order to survive the Bock family had to move to Korvatuntuli in Lapland, where it remained till 1250. According to the story told, we also learn that already in the year 987 was stipulated a contract with the church, according to which in order to spare the Bock family from death, they were obliged to keep their saga secret for next 1,000 years. Helvetia. At the age of 7, Ior begun to learn the Bock saga from his mother Ray and his sister Rachel. The story was told to him little by little every day for 2 hours till he became 27 and reached the maturity according to his family traditions. Like so, Ior lives us the story of Paradise or Paradise time. According to his saga, we must begin by dividing the history in 4 main parts called Parasidat, which is the time of creation when all primordial living entities were living of each other like parasites. The second period is called Paradisat and started when man was born and started to develop the alphabet. The third is called Altlandis, and it's the period in which the people of Odenma, ringland that surrounds Helsinki, had to survive in the ice. And fourth, the time after Outlandis, which is the time that come after the melting of the ice around Odenma. Parasidat. Parasidat is in fact the time of start of life on our planet, when from the water and the steam together with the earth came the algae, from which came to life the parasites. After many millions of years that evolved into animals, the first ones were the frog and the eel, from which after many more millions of years of evolution, came the goat and the monkey. From the union between the nanny goat and the monkey came the Fry and Freya, the first man and woman. This story is the oldest mythology on the planet, dating the origin of civilization to 350 millions of years ago and describing in full the creation of it and the process of evolution to the time we are living today. Paradisat. The time of Paradisat is the time starting from the birth of Fry and Freya, which created the root language, mother to all languages on the planet. The story teaches us that from the sperm of Fry was coming the alphabet, from which the Paradisat or the tree of paradise was born. This period lasts 300 million years, in which also a second language called Vanar was used by everybody which lived outside of Odenma. The alphabet of the root language is based on 23 sounds from the ring plus 6 from outside of the circle. Thanks to the alphabet, the notion of the Aesir was left for us to understand, and thanks to the Nordic languages we can now see clearly that the original meaning of words is still kept in the modern vocabulary. The saga teaches that from the sound came the root language and from it came the alphabet. Fry and Freya were different than animals because of their sperm and sap that separate them from all other species. The sperm and sap in fact contains more richness than the embryo which all the animals have. The saga describes how during paradise that all humans lived in harmony with nature and with the cosmic laws of logic and understanding. The story also describes how we were originally all coming from one race. Atlantis. The period denominated Outlandis or all land, lands, ice, is the period that came after the one of Paradisat, and it begun after the first Ragnarok or destruction of the Aesir. This period lasted for 50 million years, during which the Aesir that survived the Ice Age had to live in Odenma, only ringland of the north where people could survive thanks to the Gulf Stream of Mexico that was keeping Odenma heated, and thanks to its current keeping the Gulf of Finland free from the ice. During this time the old system was changed to suit the situation. In this time, because of drastic climate changes that imposed new factors for the survival of the human species, was created 10 different tropical races that could now adapt themselves to the climate and the nature of the different areas of the world that remained or became free from the ice during the all-ice period. The system was then rearranged in order to keep some kind of link to the past through the introduction of the 10 counting system and the creation of tropical languages based on the 10 system to remind the link to the Vayners, old residents of the entire planet out from Mode Ma, and the difference with the old 12 system that was kept at first only in the Scandinavian languages and later brought to other Northern countries. The period denominated Atlantis ended with the total melting of the ice that accrued in Scandinavia around 10,000 years ago, when this phenomenon reached its strongest period and the ice begun to move across the land, leveling nearly all vegetation and with its weight molding the rocks to become smooth and round. The Aesir then left Odin Ma and moved to Gotland, where they remained approximately for 8,000 years before returning to Odin Ma, then completely free from the ice during the all-spring and summer. The 8 powers. The 8 powers of the Aesir, or hidden powers of hell, are those which contain the key to the understanding of the Bock saga and open the gate to the realization of the paradise tree. Since the last Ragnarok happened in the year 1050 with the coming of the terrible inquisitions brought to Finland by Pope Leo IX, the Aesir had to move to Korvatantuli, famous nowadays as the home of Santa, and only 3 of the 8 original powers were kept for the public knowledge. The full story behind the 8 powers became partially hidden already in the year 987 when the Lemminkainen temple was closed to prevent its destruction by the hands of the church, and its secrecy kept only in the family of the Bock that were made to sign a deal with the church which imposed the secrecy for the next 1,000 years. Helvetia. The only power people were allowed to keep on talking about were Frefreja and Tor. Only after the year 1250 with the return of the Bock and Odin Ma, the 4th power, Odin was revealed. In the year 1984 with the death of the last Akare Bockstrom, on the 24/7, Ior Bock son of Re, revealed the 5th power Ra and begun to explain the saga in its fullness shortly after his mother's funeral. The 8 powers in fact describe the primordial basic principles, which are the essential symbols that constitutes the commune understanding and logic of paradise, and they are the following. Fre the first man. Freja the first woman. Tor the son of Ukko, or the Tor friend. Odin the sun, or the ringland inhabited by the Aesir. Ra the sperm or water of life, also representing Seppo, the firstborn of Ukko. Hel the temple of Lemminkainen, hill or entire. Bock the Allfather. I the sex. The alphabet. This is the Aesir alphabet and the meaning of each letter. W, double V way, or all the Vayner, those who lived outside of Odin Ma. A Aesir all, those born in Odin Ma. B Borg the castle. C Shira to share. DD or dag drink or day. F Freud the seed. G Grund the ground. H hell intact, all, or hill. I the sex. L lag the law. M moon the moon. N Charan the polar star. O Odin the ringland of the Aesir. P pole the north pole. Q quadrat the square. S Ulan the sun. T Tor. U Ursprung the origins. V Vayner all that lived outside of Odin Ma. XX the 10 Tintio, or the 10 brothers of Lemminkainen and Seppo. Y Yggdrasil the tree of the Aesir. Z say to take the soil or drink from Seppo. The fields. The fluvial system. The islands. The Aesir. The Aesir are divided in 2 groups, the Pyruid and the Ruset Piruet, the family of Ukko. Ruset the children of Lemminkainen in the Nar, and Rabbi born from the Disla. Here the Aesir. Gub, Ukko, or also known as Odino or Rex Mundi. He is the sage and represents the All-Father to all the people of the planet, and he is the grandfather of the children of Lemminkainen. Gumma or Acker represents the All-Mother, also grandmother of the children of Lemminkainen. Bockon or Lemminkainen, the father of the new generation of the Aesir, which takes his father's title when his 13th son becomes 27. Svanohuautsen, the wife of Bockon or Lemminkainen, which also takes the Gumma or Akka title when she become grandmother. Ramundi or Seppo, the firstborn of Lemminkainen. Majao Ilmotar, the firstborn of Lemminkainen. Tentintio, the 10 brothers of Lemminkainen and Seppo. Sexturnur, the 6 sisters of Maja. The 5 castes. Pyruid and Rus are living inside Odinma, while the Vaner, Jarl, Karl, and Drells living outside of Odinma. The system was designed in the way that the woman of the lower caste had to procreate with a man of one caste higher, and their children would become of the same caste of the mother in order to ensure their respect toward the father and the continuation of the offering system and balance with nature. Clearly the lowest caste of man was not reproducing, but instead being part of the offering system for the common child through the Carnaval, a special event in which the Trellis was offering their semen for the Carl, which would then offering for the Jarl, which was offering its jackpot to the Rus, which then brought it forward to the Pyruid for the procreation and the offering system of the Aesir. The festival. After the man which were chosen to become father preformed different games and sports in which they measured themselves and give a pleasant show of their ability to the public, the woman that were chosen to become mother could choose the man they wished to become inseminated by. It was then to the man he accept from the woman of his choice the gift of the fatherhood. In this system the father would then share his life for the good of the caste of his and his children and wife caste. The children would also become taken care by the mother's brothers and sisters, ensuring that the family was always present in the life of everybody. The sun rule. The sun rule or the will is done by both man and woman as a fertility and life appreciation ritual, and it's achieved by drinking one's own water of life. Such a morning ritual was done every morning as an exercise and a source of nourishment for the mind, body and soul. The man was doing the Sana Solamu as the morning ritual of paradise. It was done to put man in a state of harmony with nature by providing him with both pleasure, physical exercise and release of tension. This morning exercise it is done from the age of 7 in order to assure a healthy body and a sane mind, and it's achieved by putting one's feet behind the neck in order to be able to reach one's own third eye and drink from it. This way one can be able to close himself in a knot, solemn, and achieve the most physical pleasure a man can give to himself by himself. By doing it by fact man becomes in touch with the nature and free from unharmonious sexual obsessions and frustration, while ensuring both a long-lasting fertility, a fit body and a healthy mind. The Yggdrasil and the Oak. During paradise time and after till not long ago, everybody belonged to his own family tree. Today we all talk about it, but very few know the meaning or use of the tree. Today instead we are told that it's some piece of paper where is written the name of the relatives. The saga tell us that the family tree was the place for the ashes of the dead. The Aesir belonged to the ash tree, Vaners belonged to the oak. This way everybody on the planet was in harmony with the nature. It is told that when the ashes go under the tree, the root of the tree would take the fulja or spirit from the ashes and bring it to the leaves, from which with the sun power the fulja was evaporating there, where the centrifugal power of the planet was taking it and bringing it to Valhalla. Everybody could also during special dates visit their own family trees where they could be closer to their ancestors and find a place of belonging. The Yggdrasil is the tree of the family of Ukko. Its good legacy is eternal and forever should remain in our history to remind of the past and inspire for the future. I want to make clear that the word eternal is tied to the beauty of creation, the goodness, the good magic and of the understanding that this saga and this book is bringing, which must be respected, honored, shared and preserved to ensure the continuation of life in harmony with the good in nature and for our evolution into a higher level of understanding and being. Much more must be written about the saga, and this is something that cannot be left out. The reality of paradise on earth is something that we can only achieve when we respect and protect life even in its smallest forms. Because the saga is a spoken story which takes 20 years to learn and would probably take her as long to write in its entirety, and clearly because the Bock saga is traditionally a spoken saga, therefore any written form of it cannot express the level of clearness that can otherwise if told in spoken words anyway. Because of the need of such information to be shared, I decided to put it on written form to help those which have no access to audio or video players. For more details on Bock Saga, is also possible to find the Bock Saga YT channel on the internet, where more audio and video recording are already available. This was a synthesized version of the Book of Wisdom. Minor corrections will be made in the following version, also more to come. As I have been writing on the beginning of this book, I hope that I will soon find a suitable place from where finding the peace for continuing to write it. Marcelo Gentile.